Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the live Q&A session. We have here with us Daisy and Niharika. First of all, I want to thank both of you for this amazing talk and actually inspiring people to find out the hidden gem that we have since the classic block editors in there. So I'm going to start with Daisy and Niharika, both of you. How are you feeling with WordCamp India?
Great to be here.
Awesome. Let me hear from Niharika. Since WordCamp India, how does it make you feel as an Indian?
Actually, it's a great platform for me as well as others. And I think it's giving each and everyone an opportunity for the work they do. And plus, for the newcomers also.
A little bit more with the spacing.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Let me get back to Daisy real quickly. Daisy, how did it feel for you to watching that presentation? Any thoughts?
It's always interesting to watch yourself talk.
One thing I noticed when I was testing this,
I hope that everyone got something out of it.
Mobile size.
Okay, so let's go on with the question and answer. We have a few questions. First question that we have: can we achieve the same result without using CSS? Who's going to answer that?
Yeah, you can get pretty close. And the way that you would do that, let me go ahead and share my screen. Can you bring that up?
All the plugins that would let me add conditions to blocks.
So the areas where I used the CSS was for this black area around the image of Niharika here. And that's a box shadow. In order to do that without CSS, you could just make the image that way. Put the box shadow in from a photo editor. And then you can do the same thing down here with these three images that also have a bit of a box shadow effect to give them a black border. You could do that as well directly to the images. And the only other place I used some CSS was to slightly change the way that this excerpt, post excerpt looked. And it's not necessary, but you could build it into your theme, or if you're using a theme like this theme here is Astra, and it does have some typography options where you could potentially change the way that some of this text looks using the theme settings.
Right, absolutely. Niharika, would you like to add something to that?
I think Daisy is the better person for the technical part.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. We can just jump into the next question real quick then. Thank you. So is it best practice to use picture block when there are a majority of them are text?
So yeah, I think here, like particularly in this text, think happy, be happy. I think using image was a better option because the design here is more important than the text we are using. So yeah, and it totally depends where we are displaying it. So here we use the image, and like we can use the alt tag for SEO purposes, and plus like it all depends. Like what if we don't have the fonts or we don't want to add any fonts to the website? So that's why like I think using design, like using image would be a better option for spaces like this where image is more making impact than the text.
Yeah, I think I would have to absolutely agree with you, the point that you made, Niharika. So Daisy, would you like to add something to that?
Just to point out that while this Think Happy, Be Happy is an image, we did load this script styled font into the site so that we could get these headers to be text and still get that kind of visual effect.
Yeah, absolutely. You see, I mean, I'm personally fascinated on the fact that these are being implemented on your site, and people still cannot figure out if that's a text and if that's an image. So that's one way of success for the designer itself. So we'll move on to the next question. Great answer. Thank you so much. So we are being requested from our viewers to show 3 different previews for desktop, laptop, and a tablet. I think we can easily do that, Daisy, right?
Yeah, I'm all ready for it. So this is the home page, and I could do this from the edit. screen, but what you see in the editor is never going to be quite what you see on the front end. So you always want to do your testing on the actual site. So I'm just using my inspector in Chrome, and I'll just switch this to a mobile view. So right now we're looking at the iPad version of it. And I didn't spend a great deal of time optimizing this for mobile. So like you see that the hamburger menu is blue, which is not the way that we'd want it to be in a production environment. Some of the padding and spacing might be a little bit off, but I did at least preview it to make sure that it was going to look okay. So you can see there are some adjustments that we could potentially make. Font sizes might be something you'd want to address at different resolutions, but basically it looks pretty good.
Right.
And then I can switch it. Yes.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right, I'll just switch it to phone so we can see what it looks like on a very small screen. So, and it's very similar. The one difference is that in this stacked 3 images, I used a plugin to hide one of the blocks that I used because it would have made the spacing very strange in this view. So there's a plugin that you can use to have conditional blocks, which is really handy.
Right.
There you have it.
Sorry to cut you off once again. The point that you are making, it's important to actually go through different preview modes for all of the different options that you have, desktop, mobile, and tablet before you actually go on live with the site, right?
Yeah, that's right. And then if you want to be really intentional about it, you can actually make it so that as you slowly change the width of your screen, it always stays looking okay and usable. So you can find cases where only certain resolutions were optimized, but there are others where things kind of go a little crazy on certain websites. So those are just some tips.
Absolutely great tips. Thank you, Daisy. I just want a follow-up comment from Niharika on this. So Niharika, how much time do you think a designer tend to spend based on your experience while optimizing your site for different previews?
So if we go with the mockup, like designing the mockup, it takes a lot of time. But here, like on WordPress, I think it's much easier, and it's very important also to have responsive site, because nowadays, like there are many users using different screen resolutions and sizes. So I think like it totally depends, like how much time we are taking for mockups. It does take time, but here it or like totally depends on person to person, I would say that.
Absolutely. Daisy, how much time do you think we should focus or invest in?
I would say it should be fairly high. And I would take it going the other direction. We talk about designing for mobile all the time, but I use a 4K monitor at a very high resolution. If I make a website full screen, it makes everything gigantic. And so you want to make sure that it's still usable at high resolutions as well as low resolutions.
Absolutely. Great advice from both of you. And the 4K monitor absolutely helps. So that's a great hack or a tip for our listeners. Let's move on to the next few questions. I think we have a few more. So how good is padding option in the block editor? This is a live question coming from the YouTube feed.
Sure. So it's going to vary from one block to the next. Some blocks, especially blocks that have been created by third parties, things from the plugin directory, are potentially going to have different options. So if I go into, let's say, if I can get into my cover block here, and I can see the options that show up on the right-hand side. In this case, there's not a lot of padding specifically, and the needs for each block are going to be different based on what it's there for. In some cases, padding wouldn't really be relevant, but yeah, I think that what we'll find is as we move to full site editing, if you have a block-based theme, then some of those padding options will actually be set at the theme level, because you're going to want similar padding across your whole site for the specific type of block it is.
Absolutely. Niharika, would you like to comment anything, or like let's?
No, I think I agree with Daisy on this. So we can move to the next one.
Sure. If I'm building my site with the block editor, what considerations should I have in mind while choosing a theme? And can I use any generic themes?
This is it's a very common question, but it's a difficult one to answer because everyone's needs are going to be a little different. In the case of this particular demo, the things that were important to me were to be able to add a footer easily, so that I didn't have to edit that or code that in manually, and to add a custom header in. And the design piece that I needed the most for this design was to be able to take this first block, this cover block with the background image, and have it float behind the header. So, and Astra allowed me to do that. So that was the reason I chose that theme. So it does the functionality of your theme for things that are not going to be blocks is really important. And if you want to do it with no code, having a theme that has a little bit more design control from within the WordPress admin area is helpful. If you're going to be doing this for a client and handing it off to someone, then it might be better to not give them all that power to change the way that their website looks.
Right. Niharika, anything to add?
Yes, I think as Daisy said that it depends on person to person. So I think there are quite some points I would like to add. Firstly, I think we should keep the theme simple. Second, it should be responsive, as I mentioned before, that it has to be it should be usable to maximum user, that be it like any screen resolution or size. And then I think while choosing a theme, we should also consider the number of plugins, so that the website is not much heavy. And lastly, I would add that if the site is blog based site, then it's much easier for the user to edit the site. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. I see a great chemistry between the two of you, even though that's not our focus. So it's working out very well. So job well done from both of you. I think those are all the questions that we have. But before we finish, since we're almost nearing our time, I want to ask a few comments from you. So first, I'll start with Daisy. So how excited are you about the full site editing program?
Extremely excited. I spent some time just yesterday looking through the 2021 blocks theme and to see what I would need to learn myself in order to make a block theme. So, looking at this design is what I've most recently been working with. So I was thinking about how I would achieve this specific design using a block-based theme. And I have a few areas that I'm going to have to learn. I'm very excited about combining a block theme with things like block patterns and block styles, where I can build in some block patterns that would be a quick way to add, like this header area. If I wanted to use the header that we had on this site across multiple pages, but then change the content, I could create a block pattern for that to very quickly pull in those blocks already configured in the way that I think I'd want them to repeat, and then change the content and then have it be ready to run. So, and then block styles would allow me to do things like the image treatments with just a click.
Okay. So let's have another question that we are getting from the live chat. Can I achieve better results by using the 2021 theme instead of depending on third-party theme? I think it's a no-brainer, but then again, I'll go to Daisy to answer, and then perhaps we'll go to Niharika for some comments. Daisy.
It's going to depend a lot on your use, what you need from it. So I thought about using the 2021 theme, and the 2021 theme is a very good starting point for best practices, learning how to create a theme. But you're not going to be able to get every design out of it. It is somewhat opinionated in the way that it styles things. And for this, I was aiming to do as much as I could without touching any code. And so just that little tiny bit of CSS was the only thing I needed to come extremely close to the design that I was given by Niharika. So I think that third-party themes are not a problem. You don't have to feel like you always have to use the default themes.
Right. Niharika, would you like to add your thoughts to that question?
I think like that was the best decision which Daisy took, that using the same theme without like adding much CSS was a good option. So I think, yeah, that's the thing I would say.
Absolutely. The point that Daisy was mentioning, I had that aha moment that we were having right before the 2021 theme was being launched, is that the WCAG compatibility. And that was like a breakthrough that we were trying to achieve. So let's just keep that aside. Let's move on to asking Niharika's thoughts. Niharika, this is my personal question, and I want you to take the opportunity to pretty much let the folks in India and nearby regions know how important design plays in the way WordPress is being used by people in masses.
Can I have your question again? Because
Sure. Some emphasis on the design aspect, how important design is for the overall experience of WordPress and the way people are using it. I want your thoughts towards the audience in India and the nearby regions. Thank you.
yes. So I really think that design is the major point when we design, like when we develop a website, because that's the thing your users will be seeing. And plus, it should be simple. Like it should be simple enough that anyone can easily use your website, can go through it, and like I think all the folks on the WordPress community, they've been using the block editor. So I personally think that it's the most like easiest medium to use it. Plus, you can create new things, as Daisy mentioned here. And I myself have been trying like doing that, and I've learned a lot here with Daisy on the like creation of the theme. So yeah, that's it. And I think that you should emphasize on the design part as well.
Absolutely. I love the word design. As the official team representative of the global design team myself, I can never hear the word design enough. So I would like to thank both of you for the session design to page using the WordPress block editor to implement a landing page design. Daisy Olsen and Niharika Sanadhya, I hope I pronounced both of your names right. And I hope you will enjoy your experience, WordCamp India experience virtually for the first time today and tomorrow as well. And the folks, please don't forget to visit the sponsor area and watch the remaining sessions as well. Thank you.
Thanks.